This may come as a slight surprise, but it's raining in downtown Cincinnati. Lightly so. It appears we will start on time. That's the good news. Pirates and the Redlegs. And the Reds trying to get their first win after the All-Star break. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, Jeff Pecoro, and Shannon Ford, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to Reds Baseball. So much has been made about Matt Harvey and is he going to be traded? Who's he going to be traded to? All those kinds of things. But you and I were talking a little while ago. At the end of the day, there were a lot of people said this guy coming here wasn't going to work out. It has been a really nice fit for both the Reds and Matt Harvey.
Well, he's been a good teammate and a good clubhouse guy, that's for certain. But he's also been, even more important than that, a good pitcher on the mound. The more healthy that he gets, it seems like the better he throws the ball. He told me a couple of starts ago, this is the first time I've been really able to feel the baseball in my hand in a long, long time. And his last 5 starts bear that out. 4-0 record, an earned run average under 2. This guy's giving the Reds just about everything that they expected and more, with the exception of maybe a few extra innings deeper into a ball game. He's turned himself into a 5- and 6-inning pitcher, but nowadays I guess that's really the standard.
From a Pirate standpoint, this team is rolling. It's the best they've played all year long. They're a game over 500, and, man, it starts from the very first batter of the game in Corey Dickerson. Wow, what a series he's had.
You're right about that. It's been a roller coaster ride this year for the Pirates. They played horrible for a while, and now they're playing maybe the best baseball in all of baseball. And Corey Dickerson is not a simple guy to evaluate. He's very complicated in his approach, but he knows what he wants to do. He was looking for certain pitches last night, and he got them. 2 home runs off of DeSclafani on back-to-back at-bats on the very first pitch of the at-bat. This guy is somebody swinging a hot bat right now. So if you're Matt Harvey on the mound, you're thinking, all right, I want to make sure I face him with nobody on base.
And look at those career numbers we brought up last night here in Cincinnati for Dickerson, no matter what uniform he's wearing. What do we know about Ivan Nova? We've seen him plenty.
I've always wondered why Ivan Nova doesn't have a better record overall than he does. I mean, after all, he's got a terrific arm. He's now 31 years old. He came up with the New York Yankees, and when he got traded over here, he really began to blossom again. But he's never really put the kind of numbers win-wise on the board that I thought he would. He's a guy that'll throw 70% fastballs. He's got a good curveball. That's probably his best pitch, and an occasional changeup.
All right, when we come back, tell you who else is rolling right now. The Reds rookie Jesse Winker. Rookie success indeed. Pick has that story in a moment.
Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. And by Buick.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Local 12 meteorologist Brian Sherman with a look at your game time forecast. Much like we had yesterday, scattered showers and thunderstorms in the forecast this afternoon. Temperatures into the upper 70s by the afternoon with a 1:10 first pitch at Great American Ballpark. More than likely, we're going to be looking at the potential for rain delays this afternoon. We're heading for 78 by the 7th inning, and then still some scattered showers by the time we hit the final out. So take the umbrellas, take the ponchos, take the rain gear, and keep an eye on the radar as we head throughout the afternoon. And as always, go Cincinnati Reds.
All right, let's talk about one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball, Jesse Winker. All he's doing right now is leading National League rookies in hitting and walks. He's second in hits, RBI, on-base percentage, and multi-hit games. He's in the midst of a 12-game hitting streak where he's hitting .500. And that's the longest hitting streak by a Reds rookie since 2014. Guy by the name of Billy Hamilton did it. How hot is Jesse Winker? Well, that leads us to today's IGS Bringing the Energy. And man, is this kid on fire? How about for the season? A .409 on base, second in the National League, and a .327 average versus righties. That's good because Von Nova's a righty today. But since June 7th, he's been the best in baseball with a .387 average and a .488 on base percentage. What more can this young man do? Maybe the quietest rookie in the hunt for the Rookie of the Year award. No one's talking about this young man. They are talking about the Reds trying not to be swept. The Buccos have the brooms if the Reds look for a win.
Encounter with their Central Division rival Pittsburgh Pirates, and some lucky youngsters hanging out, able to greet some of their favorite players out on the field, get an autograph, say hello. Boy, it's got to be a great thrill. Looks like our friends from Raiders had something to do with that. And then Matt Harvey. You wonder, Chris, how many more starts we'll see him in a Reds uniform. The trade deadline is the final day of this month. So if you max that out, it would be one more after today.
Well, you know, he's probably wondering the same thing, Tom, but he also realizes, having been around a little bit, I mean, after all, he broke into the major leagues when he was 23 years old with the New York Mets back in 2012. So he knows it's beyond his control. All he knows is that the better he pitches, the better the chances that somebody's going to want him. Now, whether the Reds will deal him or not, Jim Riggleman in the pregame show we showed you, he's not so sure that that's going to happen. I think, though, the overall sentiment around baseball is that you have a guy like Matt Harvey with probably less than great chance of re-signing to a deal. You go ahead and move him and you get what you can. The question is, what can you get, and when and if the Reds will pull the trigger?
Well, you saw the numbers on Harvey. They have been very good as a Red. In his 12 starts, a 5-3 record, ERA just slightly above 3.5. Let's take a look at the starting lineup that he'll be facing today for the Pittsburgh Pirates under their manager, Clint Hurdle. The streaking Pirates won a season-best 8 straight games. And Dickerson, a big reason why. So too is Marte. Polanco bats third. Diaz, their regular catcher, with Cervelli out. Moran at third, Bell at first. Rodriguez has had a big series. He's again at second base. Moroff is the shortstop. And Nova is on the mound. Everybody thought Clint Hurdle was crazy when he met the media in Bradenton, Florida, and said, look, this team has a chance to get to the playoffs. We're thinking about winning the World Series. That was after they traded away Andrew McCutchen and Garrett Cole, among others, and everybody thought he was a madman. And yet, here he is, and his team, winners of 8 in a row, and very much back into picture for the wild card. The number they're looking at is that number behind Milwaukee. And right now they're only 5.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. Swinging a foul ball back out of play, and we are underway. Dickerson down, strike one.
Now, the one thing that their skipper has never lacked for, Clint Hurdle has always been an optimist. I mean, ever since I talked to him for the very first time as a player a long time ago, the guy was supremely confident either in himself or now his ball club.
Harvey ahead 0-2. Harvey has made a couple of starts against the Pirates. He surrendered 4 earned runs in 11 total innings. But so far in July, he has been lights out. That ERA at 1.6. And we showed you 4-0 in his last 5 with that ERA under 2. That ball hit hard the other way by Dickerson, and this is going to go for extra bases. So the beat goes on for Corey Dickerson on an 0-2 pitch, a double to left.
Is that a piece of hitting or what? I mean, that ball was exactly where Harvey wanted it, 0-2. He wanted to waste a pitch up and away, but Dickerson finds a way to put the solid part of the bat on it and drives it down the left field line. I mean, that's one of those where you just tip your hat and say, I don't know how you did it, but I've got to respect that.
Well, you talked about that article you read about Dickerson. He alluded to Votto, and take a look at that.
Well, using the whole field is important all the time, but especially with 2 strikes, because that's when pitchers are going down and away from you, and they're able to figure it out. Those 3 guys are.
Well, that'll get the runner down to third base. That's quite a surprise right there. Are you not surprised by that at all?
I'm stunned by that. And I don't really understand why. I doubted that it came from the bench. I mean, I would imagine that, you know, if you've got a guy like Starling Marte, and not only does he bunt to get the guy over, but he bunts on a pitch that's way inside. I mean, if he makes a stupid play right there to the point where, you know, they're able to get Dickerson going from second to third, I mean, the whole thing backfires on you. There's a reason he's batting second, and it's not necessarily to bunt a guy from second to third.
No, there have been number 2 hitters on a lot of teams through the years that you would expect a bunt from. Starling Marte hitting over 280 with 14 bombs would not fit that category, although that's what he just did. And the Pirates have a runner at third with 1 out here in the opening inning, and Polanco looks at a fastball up and away for a ball. Good power numbers for Polanco, low batting average, 234. But he is on a 6-game hit streak, 16 home runs, 51 runs batted in. And that ball is hammered to right center field. And man, these Pirates are smoking. 2-0 game, number 17 for Polanco.
Boy, has it been a long time since I've seen the Pirates waylay the baseball the way they have been so far in this series. Looks like a changeup that's, you know, elevated a little bit above the knee. It's a slider, actually, maybe trying to go backdoor slider, and it just didn't do anything except roll right up there.
Harvey had a major problem with the Mets and with the Reds when he initially came to Cincinnati, giving up the home run ball. That has not been the story lately. That's his first home run surrendered, spanning his last 38 innings. Swung on and fouled out of play. I mean, the Pirates are doing everything right now that adds up to a team that's won 8 games in a row. They're getting great starting pitching, well under 3 for the past 2 weeks. They haven't won every game the last 2 weeks, but they've been in every game. And they are just knocking the cover off the ball in terms of home runs. Harvey to the bag, and that'll be the second out of the inning. Take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. It'll be Urban getting a start in center field. Flanked by Duvall and Winker. Regular group along the infield, and Tucker back behind the plate. Well, we know we had promised that Adam Dunn, who will be formally given a red jacket tonight at the big Reds Hall of Fame and Museum induction gala over at the Convention Center, that he was going to join us in the booth yesterday, and he told us, he said, look, I'm having so much fun being around so many of my former teammates and these other Reds Hall of Famers. Do you mind if we do it tomorrow? So that's today. And he's going to be here in the second inning.
Good. Looking forward to that.
Very much. Jam shot pop up. Duvall will run it down, but it's a 2-run opening inning for the Buccos. On the long one from Polanco. Reds are coming up. It's off and running. And now the Reds will try and answer here in the last of the first, in Jim Riggleman's starting lineup. Reads as follows: Peraza, Jeanette Votto, Suarez in the cleanup spot, Winker red hot right now, batting 5th, Barnhart 6th, the latter third of Duvall, Urban, and Harvey against veteran right-hander Ivan Nova.
Veteran to say the least. He's 31 years old. He got traded over here to the Pirates a few years ago and then signed an extension with them. He's got good control. Doesn't walk very many. Has had a problem giving up home runs. He's got 19 of those. So, and those are mostly touched up fastballs that he leaves up over the plate.
Now you wonder how long earlier this year Nova was pitching injured. He ultimately wound up going on the disabled list with a right hand, that's his pitching hand, ring finger sprain. Because since coming back, he's been very good. That's a laser off the bat of Peraza, but caught. Nova 3-1 with an ERA right at 3.5 in 7 starts since coming off the DL. And we talk about it all the time, Chris. So one thing you can count on, if nothing else from Nova, is the ability to throw strikes. Averages less than a walk and a half per 9 innings.
You know, I think maybe one of the reasons why he's had such a good ability to throw strikes, Tom, is the fact that he's always kept it very simple. He's not a guy that has added a cutter and then added a different type of changeup and experimented with the splitter and all that kind of stuff. He keeps it fastball, curveball, changeup, and that's pretty much it. Nice, deliberate delivery, keeps his head still. And those are all the components of being able to repeat it and throw strikes.
Scooter Gennett to 321, 16 home runs, 63 batted in. Went hitless in 3 at-bats here last night. In fact, he's hitless in the first 2 games after the All-Star break.
It's left-handers that have given Nova the biggest problem of all, and that last pitch that he just threw to Scooter Gennett will really be an indicator as to whether he gets lefties out here today. A 2-seam fastball that he throws on the outer edge of the plate, and then it really has a lot of run and sink. If he hangs that pitch up, it's very hittable.
Those are the numbers that bear that out. Chad Whitson, our home plate umpire today. Adrian Johnson at first base. Trip Gibson at second. And Greg Gibson, the crew chief, the umpire at third. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Scooter Gennett.
Staying alive.
Back up through the middle, but they have the shift on him. And Gennett thrown out. You know, we were talking a little while ago about this Pirates starting pitching, and it certainly is a big storyline presented by Elk and Elk. Look at the last 11 games, which the Pirates have only lost 1 of those games. How about those numbers? A strikeout per inning and an ERA barely above 2.5.
Well, they've gotten good starting pitching, obviously, but that bullpen has been just watertight for Clint Hurdle recently, and it really doesn't matter who he calls on.
Lotto, a 1-hopper to the shortstop, and that's all for the Redlegs. A 10-pitch inning for Nova. Adam Dunn will join us when we come back. Pirates lead 2-0. 2-0 Pirates as Pittsburgh bats here in the top of the second inning. Many of you certainly able to watch. Maybe you were here. The on-field ceremony, the 2018 Reds Hall of Fame induction class. Dave Bristol, Freddie Norman, and this man right here, Adam Dunn. What a weekend, I would imagine.
It's great. I mean, nobody does it in any organization, does the Hall of Fame weekend like the Reds. And it truly is an honor. It's really hard to put it into words. I know it's cheesy and cliche, but it's really hard to put it into words.
So what were your expectations, when they told you made the Hall of Fame and you're coming back here in July for the induction, weekend and everything? What were your what did you anticipate versus what the reality of it has been so far?
It's been everything I thought it would be. I mean, just being around all the guys and seeing everybody from the security guards that
sure.
you spent so much time with to obviously the players that you played with, and it's truly a great weekend.
Does it become overwhelming at all because you have so many places you have to be, so many things you have to do, and I know you're jamming everything into a 3-day weekend, and it's all great and it's all flattering and all that kind of thing. But if you had time to and maybe that'll come tonight. But if you had time, maybe you and Rachel are hanging out late or early in the morning where you're saying, man, I'm looking at some of those guys who were sitting down here last night, and you've been around these guys before, but where has it hit you, I guess is what I'm asking you.
Yes and no. I mean, again, like last night during the press conference, you're sitting up there with, and I said it last night, you're sitting up there with not only some of the best players that ever played for the Reds, but to ever play the game of baseball.
Yep.
I mean, this game's been around 100-something years, and it is, man. It makes you proud.
I felt the same way you did. I mean, you're the one going to the Hall of Fame, but I'm standing up there emceeing that thing yesterday, and when you look down on that front row, you're just going, are you kidding me?
It's Cooperstown. I mean, it really is.
It really is. That's exactly right. I think the only one who was sitting on that front row that's not in Cooperstown, and he won an MVP and multi-time All-Star is Foster. Yeah.
Yep. No doubt.
You've had so many great moments in this ballpark. What did you think when you finally came back and took a look around this ballpark?
It looks like a different ballpark. I mean, what they've done, aesthetically to this place it's beautiful. I mean, this is the first time I've seen the new scoreboard since they put it in. It's just, again, it's one of the greatest places to play because it's a great place. Plus ball flies, as you see.
Flies better now than it used to, although you never had a problem here.
No, it's this is a good place to hit for sure.
I mean, some of the numbers are just mind-boggling. Any of those to you step out? I know you're not a big numbers guy, but any of those to you where you say, man, that one I like to see that one?
The one that I like to see is not on there. It's games played. That's I try to pride myself on being out there every single day, good, bad, however it shakes out. But I signed up for 162 plus, and that's what I tried and wanted to play.
You always seem like the player to me that may be ahead of your time. You didn't know it at the time, but I mean, nowadays you see guys, the strikeouts are up, home runs are up. Players are trying to lift the ball out of the ballpark more, and I mean, that's the way you came up and did your whole career.
Yeah, didn't ever plan on being that guy, but kind of involved into that. But yeah, it's again, it's I'm not. These guys are so good, so talented now, and I mean, just top to bottom. I mean, it's a different brand of baseball, and it's it's very entertaining.
You miss playing?
I miss the game. I miss being out there. I really enjoyed the in between the lines and the clubhouse and stuff like that. But I kind of like what I'm doing now too.
What are you doing now?
Obviously raising kids. I got a baseball facility in Houston, running some teams and stuff like that. But I got a lot of stuff.
Summer league teams, that kind of thing.
Summer league, more select stuff. That
and some real successful. Tell us about some of the kids you've had and the success you've had bringing them up and making them opportunities for professional contracts.
Yeah, last year, well, I guess they graduated this year and they got drafted. But I had I think 9 kids drafted, 2 second rounders. One of them actually pitched today, his first pro debut, and he hit 99. I mean, they're just really, really talented, special kids. And I mean, even if they're the young age, it's amazing how good these kids are.
You know, when you're spending time with some of these kids, it really doesn't matter how old they are. I mean, you've got a son looks like he's almost as big as you are, and he's 11 years old. He told me he's going into 5th grade. I mean, he's a monster.
Yep.
Anyway, if they would ask you, this is cliche as it gets, but if they were to ask you for a piece of advice or two, because there are a lot of young people that are watching this game right now that are playing baseball, or for that matter, any other sport, what do you say to them?
Have fun. I mean, have fun. I mean, there's no, baseball is the hardest sport in the world to play. I mean, nobody can argue that. When you're adding pressure to a, already pressure-filled situation, especially hitting, it doesn't work. And if you're not having fun and enjoying what you're doing, and that's what I tell these kids in the summer. There's no pressure. I mean, nobody's going to bench you. Nobody's going to yell at you. There's no pressure. Go out and have fun, and that's how you're going to get the best out of them.
Pirates have added a run here in the 2nd inning on a double by Rodriguez, a single by Marov. And he's a runner out there at second base for Dickerson, who doubled to lead off the game and scored on the home run by Polanco.
Now, I know, Tom has already said you're not a great numbers guy, but I'm going to throw something at you here that is astounding me, because when I started looking up some things about you, Adam, and I called just about every game you played here, but there are absolute outcomes in baseball where you don't really have to run to first base, right? Where you walk, you get hit by a pitch, you strike out, or you hit a home run.
Oh, my goodness, the beat goes on for Corey Dickerson. This guy is unconscious. He's now homered in 4 straight games, hitting a total of 5 after clubbing 2 here yesterday. This was a guy, Chris, and we've talked about it, that they tried to sell to the fans was going to replace, quote-unquote, Andrew McCutchen. Tell you what, these numbers are starting to look McCutchen-esque.
When Tampa Bay first got him, a lot of people were wondering if the numbers that he put up in Colorado were inflated by Coors Field. But, I mean, look at the pitches that he's hitting. He hit an 0-2 pitch that was 4 inches up out of the zone and 3 inches outside down the left field line for a double on an 0-2 pitch first time up. This time he lifts one into the seats up around Adam Dunn's area there in right center field. And how good does it feel when you hit a ball and you see it land up there halfway up the moon deck?
I mean, again, it's one of those feelings that you'd never get tired of, that's for sure. You're just, good Lord of mercy.
We'll see if this ball carries out of here, and it will. That's a home run by Marte. All right, rather than talking about Marte, because this game's just become 6-0. Right. Speaking of long home runs,
let me go back.
Finish that. Go ahead.
Let me go back to what I was saying here about the absolute outcomes. Those things where you basically render 7 of the players in the field completely useless. Okay, nobody fields a bunt. I mean, nobody fields a walk, a home run, a hit by pitch, or a strikeout. Did you know that in over half of your plate appearances, that's exactly what happened? Either a strikeout, a walk, or a home run. So when you start adding those all together, I mean, you're talking about, 4,000 times or so that you rendered the third baseman, the shortstop, every other fielder out there completely useless, and you forced the owners to pay them the money while you ended up either striking out, walking, or hitting home runs.
Yeah.
So you ought to be maybe the poster child for the Major League Baseball Association, huh? Player Association.
Player Association, yeah. I mean, 2 out of the 3 of those outcomes are pretty good.
Yeah.
And, again, I evolved into this 3-way, whatever y'all call it, player, and I don't know how. I mean, I probably never could put my finger on, I can never get back to what I thought I was and what I always was. I never could get back to being that guy, and so I just evolved into this.
Well, this turned out to be pretty good. It's a Hall of Fame career, absolutely.
Right. No, I mean, I have no regrets. It's just, I'd like to go back if I could.
You would?
I would, yeah.
So if you could go back and all of a sudden you say, I would want Adam Dunn, the player, to look like what would that player look like?
He would look like the 2001 player. I mean, that's what I would look like, and there was some things that I did that I probably shouldn't have done, and worked with people that I probably shouldn't have worked with, and things like that. But looking back, it's all on me. I mean, I wasn't able to to get back to what I was.
Right. That's very interesting. Very interesting. On a weekend where you're being celebrated for all you did do, and yet you're able to, look yourself in the mirror and say, well, maybe I can help somebody else where it doesn't happen to somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times, people try so hard and want you to do so good that it's you almost, get overcoached. And instead of letting guys just, if guys are successful, don't mess with them. They might not, every hitter's different. Everybody stands different, swings different. Everybody's different. But, I think when you start trying to make them robots and, do it like this is how it's done. There's no science. It's round ball, round bat, hit it hard as you can, wherever it goes. Awesome.
How many times, Chris, have you and I talked about that? Seeing guys that came to the big leagues that had success doing it in a certain way, they try and change them into something else, and the next thing you know, they're on the way back to Louisville. All right, now look, I know you're going to run, but stick around if you don't mind for one highlight we want to run after the commercial break. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You said many times you'll never forget that moment. Is that right?
That's true. Never forget it. Never forget it. It was, it was like yesterday. I mean, I remember sitting there with Scott Hatterberg and, he's telling me how, I'm going to come up and have a chance to win it. And I'm like, we were down 5 or something like that. And anyway, sitting there and I get on deck and he's like, I told you. And on the highlight, he was telling me, because I faced Wickman a few times and I guess Hatterberg faced him quite a bit. And he's like, he's going to start you off with a fastball in, all this. And so I get up there and look at the fastball in, and I got it, but he was trying to go away. And if I'm thinking if he hit his spot, then the outcome, could have been different, but he didn't. So
good thing he didn't.
Good thing he didn't.
That was awesome. Hey, thanks for the time today.
No, I appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you tonight at the big gala. Congratulations again, and you and your family. Great to have you back in town.
Glad to be back. Good to see everybody.
Hey, good luck fishing too.
Yeah,
I understand you're on almost the pro circuit.
No, yeah, it's a AAA, but
got to start somewhere.
Got to start. Yeah, I need to go back to rookie ball actually, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It gets those competitive juices, flowing. Believe it or not. So
well,
it's great.
Continued good luck to you. You look great.
Thank you. Feel good.
Absolutely.
Good
All the best, man. Take care.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right. Adam Dunn, kind enough to join us here, and we remember that epic comeback, that game-ending grand slam. And tonight, Adam, along with Dave Bristol and Freddie Norman, will be officially inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. And if you've never been there, I would highly recommend, if you're coming to Cincinnati, and you can even come in the wintertime. I mean, maybe you're passing through here on a business trip, or maybe it's the holidays, whatever the case may be. We invite you to come on in and check it out, because you will love it. Well, a rough start for Harvey and the Redlegs. 2 in the first, 4 in the second. Already 3 home runs hit in this game by the Pirates against Matt Harvey. And the first 4 have been retired on the other side by Ivan Nova. Pirates on defense presented by Ford. And why would you change anything? The only change they made from the first 2 games of this series, where they collect 18 runs on 28 hits, is a shortstop, giving Mercer a rare day off. Well, it's great having Adam Dunn up here with us, wasn't it?
It really was. And you know, he hasn't changed a bit.
Not a bit.
I mean, he's the same guy, very simple, just kind of goes through life, just kind of cruising right along. And, you know, I think that a lot of people look at Adam Dunn and say, you know, with the gift that he was given, as far as the ability to hit a baseball so far, you know, some people say, well, maybe he underachieved, but I think that you only achieve what you really want to do. And I always would talk to him about goals that he'd have in a certain week or a certain month or a season. He'd say, you know, it's game to game for me. At bat to at bat, I'm just up there trying to put the wood to the baseball.
You know, I just found it so interesting. I wish we had more time as Winker is out of there on strikes. I just found it fascinating when he said what he said, that if he could do it all over again, he would have been a different player than the one that we know that's going into the Reds Hall of Fame tonight. I just found that fascinating.
I thought what he said was about that he maybe followed the advice of people that he shouldn't, work with people that he shouldn't have.
That's what I mean, you know, collectively all that.
You know, it kind of just go back and just be himself. Yeah, I wish we had more time, but we'll get a chance to chat with him over at the gala tonight. Looking forward to that very much. Also seeing Dave Bristol and Freddie Norman and all the guys wearing those red coats in the Reds Hall of Fame. It's a great night. Really great weekend.
Yeah, it really is. Great night. The Reds, and you heard Adam Dunn say it. I don't have to say it, but he was the one that mentioned it. You know, he's played for other organizations, and when they have big events, and every team does, I mean, they'll have their charitable event, whatever the case may be, welcoming alumni back. Said nobody does it like the Reds, and I think he's point on there. Two balls and 2 strikes on Tucker Barnhart. Adam Duvall waits in the on-deck circle. A 6-0 Pittsburgh lead here in the bottom of the second inning. 3-2. Brought up earlier what outstanding control Nova has had this year and really throughout most of his major league career. He is a strike thrower. And that's a base hit hooked into right field by Tucker Barnhart.
And he works him to a 3-2 count, Tucker does. You figure you're going to get a sinking fastball from Nova. That's basically his calling card, and wants to throw a strike, elevates it a little bit, and Tucker hits it pretty well.
So Adam Duvall will settle in with a runner at first and 2 outs, 3 infielders in between the second and third base bag. And it's popped up naturally to the right side of the infield. Rodriguez plenty of time to come get it, and that'll do it for the Reds in the second inning. A hit, a man left. We go to the third, all Buccos early on. Customize your experience and catch every moment this year. Download MLB at Bat today. Pirates have brought the big bats to Cincinnati this weekend. A 6 spot through the first 2 innings here today on the heels of 6 in the game last night and 12 on Friday night. Wow, 24 runs in what, 18, 19, 20 innings. Today, an especially big family day Sunday, as every Sunday is here at the ballpark, thanks to Klosterman Bakery. Because so many of the kids today were thrilled about this Mavis bobblehead, as that's the first out of the inning. And then the appearances of Mavis and Drac today, Chris Welsh, before the game. A very, very big day for some of the little ones. Colin Moran popped up to Duvall, ending the 2-run first inning. First hiccup in a long time for right-hander Matt Harvey. Been very, very good.
Well, sometimes, you know, when you face a team that is as hot as the Pirates are, it doesn't take you to be off your game by very much. I mean, if the Pirates team is struggling a little bit and you're a little bit off, you might be down 2 runs. But when they're swinging the bats the way they are, especially Corey Dickerson, then you look up and you're down by 6 and you wonder what hit you. I mean, it happened so quickly.
Pirates have homered now in 7 straight games. They're just playing great baseball.
You know, I had a conversation with a couple of their broadcasters before the game here, Tom, and you know, I was saying to them, you know, something that we kind of talked about a little bit, that they're playing better than it looks like their roster should allow them to play. And he says, yeah, we're overachieving right now, but for a month and a half, we seriously underachieved. It's been a roller coaster year for these teams. This team was one of the worst in all of baseball for about 5 or 6 weeks.
You're right, after a great start.
Yeah. But they're talking now about, you know, having loud music in the clubhouse and everybody's loose and you can't wait to get to the ballpark. That's always a sign of a team that you really shouldn't be all that anxious to play. And of course, Jim Riggleman and his ball club came into this series thinking, hey, take 2 out of 3, maybe even sweep the Pirates. You can close the gap between last place and 4th place. Yeah, a lot of baseball left here in this game.
Two and two to count, and that's strike 3. Second strikeout of the game for Matt Harvey. First 2 retired in the 3rd. Josh Bell bounced out to Scooter Gennett, his first time up today. Strike 1. You know, the 3 cities, off-center triangle, if you will, of Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. The Pirates are going to make their way to Cleveland after the game and start a 3-game series there tomorrow night. Cleveland ripping off 3 straight wins. They've taken it to the Rangers to begin this second half of the year. Of course, those cities enjoy a great rivalry and have for years and years and years in primarily the sport of football because they all play in the same division. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland.
I wonder if the Pirates, if they bus from Cleveland back to Pittsburgh.
I would bet they do.
Just the way the Reds bus when they go from Chicago to Milwaukee.
We understand they are taking a bus back.
This year when the Reds go to Washington on our next longer road trip, they'll take a train from Washington to New York.
First time a team's done that, right?
I believe so. As a team.
Yeah.
Pirates will go into Cleveland and they'll face Corey Kluber in the first game.
And your guy Trevor Bauer in the series finale Wednesday afternoon. American League All-Star this year. Both of them popped up. And Matt Harvey with a 1-2-3 third inning. Reds need to get to work offensively.
Follow along at Fox Sports OH. Well, the Reds have set their rotation for the upcoming series against St. Louis Cardinals. Monday, it'll be Luis Castillo. Tuesday, Homer Bailey makes his return to the Reds in that 7-10 start. And then the Wednesday afternoon game, Sal Romano will make the start against Jack Flaherty, as long as Romano does not pitch today, gentlemen.
All righty, Pick. Thank you very much. A return of Homer Bailey. Chris, any, change of expectations you think the Reds might have at this point for Bailey through the rest of this year?
Well, I think that they're happy that he has deemed himself healthy and able to come back. I mean, the results are something Homer's going to have to figure out himself. I mean, if he throws the ball where he wants to, based on what I saw previous with Homer Bailey, his stuff, his approach, and so on, it's like everybody else. You got to hit the corners. You got to mix the speeds up. If he's able to do that, he ought to be able to deliver some good innings for the Reds. I mean, they need it, obviously. This is going to be the time of the year where Red starters are really going to be pressed a little bit. This is now when the season begins to get long, it's hot, and now that you put Bailey into a 6-man rotation, it's going to have everybody adjust a little bit as well. So it's really worth watching.
Well, that man right there is going to be worth watching, I believe, in the second half of this season, because with all the expectations of Luis Castillo, and they were based on what we saw once he came to the big leagues from AA last year, we have clearly not seen it nearly enough this year. And what will he do in the second half of this season? For guys like Castillo and Mahle in particular, and the same old's true for Romano, depending on how long he's in the rotation. This will be the first time they've ever been challenged over a full major league season.
Well, that's part of what I was talking about, really, Tom, is that, you pace yourself, and maybe having one extra guy in the rotation will help them get through the end of the year. You get a day here and there. But, I mean, the one thing that the Reds have been able to do over the last month and a half or so is that they really concentrate on winning. I mean, you get out in every ball game and you expect to win that game. I hate to see anything change, that now we're worried about, developing pitchers or trying to figure out who's going to be around for next year. I mean, winning is what it's all about. That's what they've done here in Pittsburgh with this ball club. They've turned it around. And I think the Reds, even though they've had a little bump in the road here against the Pirates, have to continue that same mantra of getting out there and getting after those W's every day.
There's a base hit into center field by Peraza. He's hit the ball hard twice today. Sounded like on that one he may have broken his bat. He hit a laser right at Dickerson his first time up.
A little breaking ball going away from him. Yeah, there's two ways to break a bat. One is to get it right in on the hands. The other is on the end of the bat. And that was a end of the bat, a little flare that goes into center field. Compared to how he hit the ball the first time, you got to figure, hey, it all equals out, right? He certainly has been getting on base a lot, though.
Well, you're not kidding. He is putting together a really nice year. So here's Scooter Gennett. I think sometimes all of us are guilty of this, whether it's in our job or whether it's as fans of a team. No player is going to be a perfect player. Are there things you'd like to see Peraza do better? You could say that for any player in Major League Baseball, even the guy who's standing in the on-deck circle. Are there things you'd like to see Joey Votto do better? Of course. But all in all, what we've seen now through almost, 4 months of a season, Jose Peraza is getting better and better and better by the day and the week and the month.
More complete.
Yes.
That's the one thing I've always remember Joe Morgan talking about players, and when he evaluates a player, you can say, well, he hits, a 70 on an 80 scale, but he runs only 40 on an 80 scale, which is a scouting scale. But, you know, he was a guy, Morgan, that always wanted to be the complete player. And that's where you get the respect of the players that are in each of these dugouts. That this guy, you know, can cover ground in the field, but he's also a heads-up base runner, and he knows how to move a runner in the clutch. All those type of things right there. And I think that, you know, we're seeing that progress with Peraza.
Straightaway center field. This will do it for the Reds into third. Off to the fourth we go. 6-0 Pirates in front. Healthcare Orthopedics. You can see the Reds and the Cardinals is coming Wednesday, July the 25th at half price. Plus you'll get same day admission to the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. That's a great deal. 381-REDS you can call or visit Reds.com. Some restrictions may apply, but boy, that's a good deal. Half price ticket and you get in the Hall of Fame. Everybody enjoying a dry day so far today. It was raining just moments before the game. And cheers indeed. We've gotten through the first three. The downside of all that is a start by the Pirates today. 2 runs in the first inning. Got a 2-run home run by Polanco. They got a couple of home runs. They went back-to-back. Dickerson and Marte in a 4-run second inning. So 6 runs for the Pirates, nothing yet for the Redlegs. This ball is hammered into deep left center field. Urban going back to the wall, and it will fly out of here. Sean Rodriguez comes off the disabled list on Friday night. He has 3 hits. He knocks in 4. A hit, scored a run last night. And now 2 for 2, a double and a solo home run today. Wow, he's replacing Josh Harrison this weekend.
Wow, just the hanging pitches right there on the upper part of the strike zone. I mean, these are pitches that you dream about if you're a hitter. And if you miss that or foul it back, you wonder, man, when am I ever going to get another one?
Votto will beat the Pirates shortstop to the bag, 1 out. The most home runs in a game that Harvey has allowed all year long. We mentioned coming into this game he had not surrendered one in 38 innings. Tapper to the right side, Jeanette to his right. 2 down. Good look from, what'd you call that, the bow tie bar, Chris?
Yeah.
Out there in right field. You turn over your shoulder and you're looking along the banks of the mighty Ohio. Good spot. Hello to all of you.
I didn't know they had TV monitors out there. That's pretty cool.
They're waving at you, Chris Welch.
Hello, back.
All right, here's that Dickerson guy again. I mean, every time this guy comes to the plate, it's a loud noise of ball leaving bat. 2 hits, 2 scored, including a home run Friday night, 2 home runs last night, a double and a 2-run home run today. And there's that loud noise again.
Well, you sound like a veteran scout when you say that, because how many times have we heard guys, you know, like the old Gene Bennett used to say.
That's right.
I don't even need to watch this guy hit. All I have to do is close my eyes around the batting cage and listen.
That's going to be it for Matt Harvey, and he's been so good of late. You know, law of averages would tell you that, you know, everybody, doesn't matter who you are, you're going to have a hiccup every now and again. So Harvey's day is over. He works 3 2/3 innings and gives up so far 7 earned runs, including 4 home runs here today. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen, and Jackson Stevens will come on to pitch. Today, 7-0 ball game.
Well, Tom, as you said, I think everybody has a hiccup every once in a while. Sometimes they look worse than others. It just didn't look like he had a plan to go to. I mean, we're going to show you a little later on where those home run pitches are. But, I mean, if you throw the ball down the center of the plate to a hot-hitting team, chances are you're getting brand-new baseball in return.
So now Jackson Stevens will come on to pitch. We saw Jackson in the series opener, had a rough inning, allowed 6 hits and 4 runs. The 4 runs came on a grand slam he served up to the man he faces right now, Starling Marte. Swing and a miss to Marte. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Break-even pitch coming on Marte with a runner at first and 2 outs. And that'll be a base hit hooked into left field. Dickerson will advance on to second base. So with 2 on and 2 out, we'll get a look at Polanco, who hit a 2-run home run deep into right center field in the first inning. Struck out, ending the second. Well, this is clearly one of those games where Jim Riggleman is going to get all he can out of Jackson Stevens for as long as he can.
Yeah, this is one of these where you better start throwing some strikes and getting some ground balls and getting out of this inning here, because we're going to need you again in the 5th and probably in the 6th as well.
One and 0 on Polanco. And a fastball up. 4 home runs given up today by Matt Harvey.
Well, you know, if you look at where the home runs are, here's the one by Polanco early on, and you can see, you know, down and in, that's a good wheelhouse for Dickerson. He's seeing the ball real well. But look where they are. I mean, you're talking about thigh high, and really, what do you expect? You got a hot-hitting team. You're a little bit off your game. You don't have any real good off-speed stuff to go to.
There's a base hit flared into left field by Polanco. Here comes the throw to the plate, and it's not going to be in time. So that'll make it 8-0. And you can officially close the book on Matt Harvey. Painfully will have another run tacked onto his line here today. 8 of them.
I'll tell you, that Corey Dickerson, man, not only can he hit, but he really plays hard. I mean, you're up 7-0 and you're busting it like he does right here on a base hit, trying to make sure that his teammate gets a run batted in. I mean, the effort that Dickerson gives, I mean, there's nobody in that Pirate clubhouse that doesn't want to start talking about how wonderful his experience here has been.
I mean, nobody wanted this guy at the end of last season. Yeah. Nobody.
And there was even talk about him possibly being a trade candidate here from Pittsburgh to somewhere else. You know, here at the trade deadline, because the Pirates are playing so poorly. My, how things can change.
Diaz 0 for 2. He has swung a hot bat in this series as well as looked very good at the plate. Down the right field line. That's a long run in the corner for Winker. And did a fan make that play? No.
Winker's getting a little bit better over there in the corner, you know, as you start going over there towards that basically a cement wall with about a 3-inch pad right there. A lot of outfielders get a little squirrely when they get in that corner, worried about banging up against the wall, hurting themselves. We saw Jay Bruce become a very good defensive outfielder out in right field. That's not an easy outfield to play.
Diaz had 3 hits here on Friday night, knocked in a run. He's hit the ball very hard until today. Ground ball down to Votto and a foul out to Barnhart. And that's strike 3 called to retire the side. Pirates tack on to their lead. It's a big one.
The Great American Ballpark was turned into a petting zoo because Joey Votto gifted Zach Cozart a donkey after he successfully made the All-Star team. I'm told that Donald the Donkey has settled nicely into the Cozart family 1 year later. Tom and Chris, back up to you.
Yeah, Shannon, thank you very much. In fact, we had someone ask that question just recently, and while the Cozarts, of course, make their home during the offseason down in Tennessee, their pet donkey is hanging out in northern Kentucky until they get back to Tennessee. They're spending the summer, as you know, out in Anaheim, California.
Yeah, I was always wondering about how that donkey would adapt to life in Orange County.
Not going to take a donkey to Orange County. I've seen a lot of donkeys in Orange County, but I'm not going to take one out there. No, they tell me that Donald loves his home right there in the Commonwealth. Leave down the trail a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. And here's a man who gifted, as Shannon mentioned, Zach Cozart that donkey when he made the All-Star team a year ago. Joey Votto, he bounced out to the shortstop his first time up. Votto did not start here on Friday night, the first game back after the break. He went 0 for 4 last night and 0 for 1 so far today. Reds have just 2 base hits. 2-out single by Barnhart in the second inning and a 2-out single by Peraza in the third. And Votto will draw the walk. So you're going to be busy during the big gala tonight. With whom will you be interviewing as part of the big program?
Well, I get to go over and talk to Jack Billingham and Tony Perez.
You can't beat that.
Yeah, you're not kidding about that. I mean, two of the best ever. And ask them a little bit about, the Freddie Norman and Dave Bristol. Anxious to find out what they have to say. It ought to be really a lot of fun.
Now, Tony would have been around when Dave Bristol was managing the Reds. Tony came up, of course, in the late 1960s, was an MVP of an All-Star game when he hit the game-winning home run, I remember, in Anaheim. And Billingham, of course, came over in a trade. He came over in the big deal with Joe Morgan from Houston.
Yeah,
and by that time, Sparky Anderson was firmly entrenched a couple of seasons as a manager.
Well, when Fred Norman came over from San Diego, Jack Billingham was in the middle of his All-Star season in 1973. That was the year that Jack Billingham started 40 games.
Wow.
And had 16 complete games, including 7 shutouts. So he probably told Fred Norman, this is where we set the bar of expectation right here.
Well, you think about those stats.
Yeah.
40 starts, you'll never see that again.
293 innings, led the league.
16 complete games and 7 shutouts. You know, it wasn't all that long ago. We do our scorebooks every day, and there's an area for the starting pitcher in that particular game. And it goes through the wins, the losses, innings, hits, so forth, and ERA. And then games started, games complete. It is a shock anymore if you stumble across any pitcher on any given day against any given team, outside of maybe 1 or 2 guys in the big leagues, where when it comes time to fill in that column after game started, it says complete games, where that number is anything but a 0. That's a double play off the bat of Suarez. In fact, I'm trying to remember the last time that I actually wrote 1. It was here on Friday night, and before that, Tyone, when he did it against the Reds back in April. It's unbelievable how infrequently you'll see it. I'm just thumbing back through all the games the Reds have played here of late. Carrasco with the Indians, when the Reds played them, a couple of complete games. There's a ground ball by Winker, and there are only 3 pitchers in all of baseball that have more than 1 complete game. All in the American League, incidentally. Ohio, brought to you by O'Charlie's, home of Free Pie Wednesdays. By your local Ford dealer, Ford Go Further. And by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. Very quiet day today along the banks of the Ohio. Normally on a summer Sunday, Saturday, we'll see boats everywhere, but we've had so much rain and thunder and lightning during the course of this weekend. Thankfully, nothing going on right now, and let's hope it stays that way for a while. Reds have a number of games left on this homestand. They'll welcome the Cardinals to town. First of 3 tomorrow. Night games on Monday and Tuesday, and afternoon tilt we brought up earlier on Wednesday. And then a look at the high-flying Phils, the leaders in the National League East. They will come to town Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The only odd start time from where we normally have will be Saturday's game. For whatever reason, that is a 6:40 start Saturday night. Moran pulls it to Votto. And Jackson Stevens retires the first Pirate here in the 5th. Pirates with 2 in the first, 4 in the second inning, and 2 more in the 4th inning. All the runs charged to Red starter Matt Harvey. For 2 day today for Bell, coming off a 4-hit game that matched his career high here last night. Two 2-0 the count on Josh Bell. And it's fouled off out of play, third base side. Look out down there. Well, you got to pay attention. That's an area, Chris, during the All-Star game, the home run hitting contest. I sat down there with my family, and man, you better have your eyes on the batter at all times.
Well, they extended the fence, but it only really goes to the end of the dugout line.
Pulled into right field, and that's a base hit for Bell, whose bat for the first time all year is really starting to heat up. He had such a good rookie season a year ago. He's been very quiet this year until a good June and a blistering hot so far month of July. Rodriguez a double, scored on a single by Maroff in the 4-run second inning, and then hit a long home run out by the Starfire bullpen in left center field his last time up in the 4th. Tell you get production out of a guy like Rodriguez, who we brought up earlier, was activated from a disabled list on Friday, filling in for really one of your better players in the Cincinnati native, Josh Harrison. You know, you can feel like the way they're playing, winning every game, that you can give Harrison a little extra time, maybe an extra day here, an extra day there before you bring him back.
Sure.
You know, it bums him out, though, not playing here this weekend. He loves coming back to his hometown and playing.
Well, he was out here on Friday night early, Tom, before really the rain started coming down, and, you know, running around. He's got a hamstring issue, and it looked like he was trying to convince the training staff that he was okay, good to go, because that's how much he wanted to be in. And of course, what he does here in Cincinnati when he plays against the Reds, his hometown team, I mean, he basically goes off. But they did not need him so far this weekend.
Yeah, there was talk that they were going to work him out, and if it didn't work out, they might put him on the disabled list. Apparently, he's good enough not to go on the DL because they made another player transaction when they activated Rodriguez. But we'll see how long this injury keeps Harrison out of the lineup. Maybe they could use him as a DH on their way to Cleveland. Rodriguez is gone on the breaking ball, and that's a second strikeout for Jackson Stevens, and that's a second out here in the Pirate fifth.
It's an accomplishment right there. It goes to show you that he'll chase if you give him a pitch that looks like a strike that ends up down in the dirt. He's up there looking for his third hit of the game, probably thinking about the cycle. Already has a double and a home run.
Stevens will handle the comebacker, and that will be all for the Pirates. A scoreless fifth. Reds trailing 8-0.
Three to homer in 6 straight games. He did it last night. He's been up once today, got a base hit in that game. The record is 8. That's been done 3 times. And former Red Shin-Soo Chu's 52-game on-base streak snapped last night, but that's the longest for a left-handed hitter since Barry Bonds in 08. Did it in 58 games. And boy, what about the Oakland Athletics? They are 22-7 in their last 29 games. They set an attendance record last night. Tom and Chris, how about this? Over 56,000 fans at that ballpark in Oakland for that game. Wow.
That's right. You know, they built that Mount Davis is what they call it out there. And, you know, the old Oakland Alameda County Coliseum was, you know, sort of rounded off. Not quite a horseshoe, but pretty close to it. And then all of a sudden, when they brought the Raiders back, they built, you know, double deck like you'd see in a football stadium. It sits out there in center field, and most of the time you go there, there's not a soul to be found. Well, they must have packed them in there last night. That's amazing. You know, we never see the A's play, Chris. I don't know if you watch them, you know, from time to time. I never do. But to think they've ripped off 22 out of 29, and they are right back in the hunt, and then they go out and get a closer from the Mets.
Yeah, it really is amazing how things can change. Not overnight, but certainly over the course of a month. You know, they probably thought that they were going to be sellers like they have been the last few years, and they ended up getting a closer, and it's a winnable division.
And see, therein lies the difference, really, because the Reds have played every bit as good, or did, you know, leading up to the All-Star break over a 29-game stretch, as the A's are playing right now. But the difference being, the A's did not start the season at 8-27. You know, they were floundering around, you know, maybe 5, 6, 7 under. And now look where they are. I mean, they are right there. Now the Yankees have by far the best record for the lead wild card spot. But in that American League West, Oakland is chasing a team just 3 games in front of them for the second wild card spot. Ball popped up to the second baseman Rodriguez, his first time up. Straight away center field. Marte will have lots of room out there. 2 down. If a red, it's a home run off that Toyota sign out by the Power Stacks during our game today. Brett Swigart, hope I'm saying that correctly, Brett, from right here in Cincinnati, will win that Toyota Tundra. Thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Phillip Ervin popped up his first time up. Nova has walked only 1, struck out 2, and allowed 2 base hits. How about that play down there? Are you kidding me? That was in traffic.
Had a line drive, too.
Yeah. Well, look at this angle. We got it all covered for you. Big fella going up to get it. That's the way you want to see your kid rebound.
A backhand, bare hand.
Nice. Well done. And she is thanking her lucky stars that her boyfriend has good hands. Round ball to short. Nope. That'll roll foul. She can't believe it. I mean, I didn't even see her in the picture, and so she was a smart one of that group by ducking back behind the seat.
Well, that's down there in that area where you were sitting during the All-Star home run hitting contest.
I misspoke right? There. It was during the game. I was actually working for the home run derby, but it was during the game we were sitting down there
with you.
Yeah, it was scary down there. If you're not paying attention.
Well, I was sitting behind you, so it was really even scarier.
There's no doubt about that. That ball just ate up Bell. That'll go as a base hit for Irvin. And now Stevens will bat with 2 outs and no 1 on. 3rd hit for the Reds.
You can kind of see that coming, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
The way the bell started to back up on that. That's the old saying the coaches will say to you, that you let the ball play you.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Stevens. And a fastball rides high, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Back up through the middle, but the shortstop is there, and that's the final out. We're off to the 6th. Pittsburgh up 8-0.
Cincinnati Reds.
Start your weekend off with a bang. Fireworks Friday, July the 27th. That'll be the Fightin' Phils in town. Have the big fireworks show after the game presented by TriHealth. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Saw Jack Sigafus here, son of our main man in the truck, who pulls up stuff out of nowhere, and I never know how he does it or how he has a catalog, but we can talk about some random play that happened 22 years ago. You know what? That's a good idea. Our producer Josh Hall just had a great idea, talking in my ear, saying, let's test out Matt Sigafus. That ball driven into right center field by the pitcher Nova. And for Nova, that is his first hit of this season. In his 38th at bat, and that's why you're seeing that reaction.
Yeah, they said it couldn't be done.
Well, they're laying it on hard, aren't they? I got to make sure the guy's ever had a big league hit. I mean, it would stand to reason he has a big league hit. Yes, he had 5 before this year. All right, now, since we're talking about Nova getting his first hit of the year, and he only had 1 all of last year, by the way, let's test Matt Sigafus. How quickly can he pull up, or does he have it at all? The first major league hit for Dan Straley. Remember all that talk when he was here? He kept saying, I'm going to get a hit, I'm going to get a hit, I'm going to get a hit. Sooner or later it was going to happen. Well, it eventually happened. But Does Matt Sigafus know where to find it? Does he have it available at his fingertips down in our Fox Sports Ohio truck?
You're putting the pressure on him now.
I feel badly about this now that I've done it to him, because he's so on his game every single day and night that if for some reason he doesn't have this, it just looks terrible.
I mean, that's about as random. Uh-oh, wait a minute.
Why should we be surprised?
Man.
Siggy's the man. He is the man. How about that? All right. We'll test him again as the season goes on. You know, you're a big social media guy. Maybe we ought to, you know, ask some fans to come up with some ideas or some plays they remember. Now, it can't be something like, you know, Lou Gehrig's final at bat, okay? It has to have some, even though the historical value of Dan Straley's first career hit in the grand scheme of things would be very low on that totem pole. I mean, good for him that he got it. And this guy just keeps on hitting. That is a 4-for-4 game for Dickerson, and we're only in the 6th inning.
I mean, and his spray chart is just about el perfecto. A double down the left field line, a home run to right field, a single down right field, and now a base hit right up through the middle.
Well, apparently a gentleman named Bob sitting just underneath our Fox Sports Ohio television booth is celebrating a birthday today. Winker broke back and is able to still recover and come in and get it. And now the runner will, I don't know where Nova thinks he's going.
Well, nowhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Not in an 8-0 ball game where he's throwing a shutout. He's saying, what do you want me to do? Go in there and go in head first?
Well, there's a legitimate chance he's somewhat lost out there. I mean, I don't see any breadcrumbs around, and we mentioned he doesn't have a hit all year long until now.
That's true. He's just checking out the view from second base.
Now Polanco, he started the scoring in this game way back in the first inning with a laser to right center field with a man aboard, making it 2-0 Pittsburgh. Broken bat, strike one. He's also added a run scoring single in the 4th.
I think he wanted to hit that one into the river.
By the way, the 4 hits for Dickerson in this game. It's the 8th time in his career he's had 4 hits, and that is a career best. And he's got at least one more at bat here today. So he'll get a shot to have his first ever 5-hit game. Bottom fell out of that pitch. Good breaking ball there from Stevens. That'll be all for Polanco. 3rd strikeout for Jackson Stevens.
Yeah, heated him up right on the outside corner with a nice fastball.
Now Diaz takes a fastball in there. Strike, 0 for 3. Struck out looking his last time up. That big event tonight, George Grand will serve as the master of ceremonies. We're looking forward to that. Always great having George come back into town. And I did have a couple of people ask me, you know, if they could still come to that thing. I think there are some people out there that believe that is a private function of some kind. It is not. You can buy tickets online. If you go to redsmuseum.org, you could still get in there if you wanted to come tonight. That one lined into right field. And Diaz, his first hit. This will plate Nova, who gets his first hit, scores his first run. And that makes it a 9-0 Pittsburgh lead here in the 6th.
Now, right now, the Pirates just simply can't do anything wrong at all. Yeah, that event tonight, Tom, really, there's a little bit of a cocktail hour before a full dinner, and a very nice dinner at the Cincinnati Convention Center.
Yes.
And then a really wonderful program, which will involve interviews out in the audience. The Reds players will be there. The coaches will be there. There'll be introductions of all those people. And, of course, the Hall of Famers.
Urban got a good jump on that ball. That's a good play to take away extra bases for Moran. Pirates get another run and lead 9-0. Up, play 18 holes up at Rivers Bend in Cincinnati. You can check out that course. And their round tomorrow at 5:30, right before a special Reds Live begins here at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go. Still hanging in there, despite the fact that the Reds are trailing this one 9-0. Ah, yes. Hugs and smiles at the old ballpark. Reds have the top of the order against Nova here in the 6th inning.
A lot of first pitch strikes for Nova. Of course, when you're up by 9, the other team's probably taking a pitch. Interesting, really, because every one of Nova's first pitches today have been fastballs. I mean, he just comes right at you. He says, here it is. which is one reason why he's given up, what, 18 or 19 home runs on the year. Also another reason why he doesn't walk too many.
Sinking liner. Boy, Peraza's hit the ball hard today. You know, we brought up that stat last night, and we were talking about, you know, how it's determined, about line drives measured for every player in Major League Baseball, and that Peraza going into play last night had the third most line drives come off his bat among all National League players, and he's hit 3 of them here today. Scooter pops it up down the left field line, and Dickerson will have room crossing into foul ground for the second out.
Get over $5,300 below MSRP on this 2018 Encore Preferred 2.
Now Joey Votto, he has grounded out to short and drawn a walk. First pitch, breaking ball, a rare one indeed. No balls, 2 strikes. That ball hit Votto? Apparently did not.
Did you see that? What Diaz did right before that pitch? He gave the sign. A lot of times we see a catcher like pat the ground and say, okay, I want the ball in the dirt. Diaz simply pointed his finger in front of home plate and said, this is where I want it, right there. I want it right there in the dirt.
And that's what he got.
Yeah. I've never seen that before. I've seen a lot of pitchers hit that spot without trying.
Yes. And I have a suspicion we will again.
The old 55-footer.
Trying to remember who the Reds pitcher was that used to come into games, and that first pitch fastball would be about a 55-footer almost every time he came in. Not surprising I would not remember that name.
He probably wasn't here that long.
That's why I say not surprising. See Votto here even in a 9-0 game really trying to grind out this at bat. I mean, he does for every at bat, but you know, he doesn't have a hit since the team came back from the break. Not that's any big deal. But as hot as he was there for a while, he cooled off a little bit leading up to the break. And trying to get it back rolling in the right direction. 3-2. That one ran in on him and in the air to center field. Marte calls off Polanco in a perfect 6. Nova's pitching a good game today.
Well, the Brewers started the day 2.5 back of the Cubs. Milwaukee played at 2 in the first, but All-Star Matt Kemp with this solo home run was the first of 5 runs the Dodgers played it in the second inning. Right now, the Dodgers lead at 5-2 in the bottom of the second. The Brewers, like the Reds, are just having a tough time scoring runs right now. And there you see the National League Central. Milwaukee 2.5 back. Here comes the Cardinals at 7.5. And don't look now, but Pittsburgh now just a half game behind St. Louis. Guys?
Yeah, the Cardinals have one more to go in Chicago this weekend. And Bell leads off and dumps one into center field, a base hit to begin the Pittsburgh 7th inning. 2 hits in the game now for Bell and give the Pirates 14 of them against a duo of Harvey and Stevens. Boy, they have just banged out hit after hit after hit for 3 days here. They had 12 runs, 16 hits Friday night, 6 runs, 12 hits last night, 9 runs, now 15 hits today. And here's Rodriguez, who has 2 of them.
You know, Stevens now has given up 7 hits in 2 2/3 innings. He's only given up 1 run. That is doing a little tiptoeing out there.
One ball and 2 strikes on Sean Rodriguez.
Yeah, that curveball that Stevens just fired up there is what he struck out Rodriguez on his last time up. That's really a good pitch for Stevens, but his command of that fastball, I think, is the one thing that's holding him back from kind of taking his game to the next level.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Rodriguez. And a liner handled by Peraza for the first out in the inning.
It's the definition of an atom ball. I mean, a sizzler.
Reds have action in their bullpen. Austin Bryce is getting loose for the first time today. Fastball is ball 1. They're in the 3rd inning today, by the way, in Chicago, and the Cardinals leading the Cubbies 1-0. We will see the Cardinals tomorrow night.
Yeah, the Cardinals' rotation in this series sounds very interesting. I don't know if you got the email recently there from Rob Butcher. It tells us that the first 2 pitchers in that Cardinals series will be making their major league debut against the Reds. Daniel Ponce de Leon and Austin Gomber. Jack Flaherty, right-hander, he'll pitch Wednesday, the day game.
Yeah, they've been talking about both those youngsters going all the way back to some of the articles during spring training. And, you know, who knows? Maybe with the new manager, he's an interim manager. But who knows? Maybe a new direction of that Cardinal franchise. Line drive into center field. Urban's made a couple nice plays out there in center. We haven't seen him play a lot of center field, certainly not this year. And there have been 2 good plays he's made in this game. Good athlete. So here's Nova, his first hit of the year. They've gone over 50 at-bats without a base hit. He had 1 hit in 51 at-bats total all of last year. So the wild pitch advancing, Bell on to second base, and the 1-0 count coming to Nova. Another fastball nowhere near the strike zone. 2-0. Mentioned earlier, Dickerson has never had a 5-hit game. He has 4 of them already here today. And whether it be here in the 7th or starting the 8th, he'll try to do something he's never done before. Three and 2 on Nova. Probably the last batter either way for Stevens. And we'll do it again. He took over with 2 outs and 1 on in the Pirates' 4th inning. Boy, Nova all of a sudden feeling it up there at the plate.
He likes the idea of standing out there on the base paths. Maybe not the idea of getting a little stinging sensation in his pitching hand. He was originally signed by the Yankees, and when he was first scouted down in the Dominican Republic, he was an infielder and an outfielder. Then one day they asked him to pitch against an older team, and he is out. And that's when he got some attention as a pitcher.
And that's when he stopped hitting. So as we do every Sunday, we're going to keep it right here in the middle of the 7th inning for the singing of God Bless America.
Please stand. Kindly remove your hats and face the American flag. Major League Baseball, the Reds and the Pirates salute the men and women of our armed forces, as well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, and welcome Clara Wilson as she leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Up here in the Handlebar, and tomorrow night this place is going to look a lot different. The annual telethon benefiting the Reds Community Fund will be taking place. Phone lines open during Reds Live at 6 p.m. and throughout the night we'll be showcasing the many programs that the Reds Community Fund benefits. It's bound to be a great night. Guys, back up to you.
Now, these are the gifts, Chris, if you're able to make a donation. And look, not everyone can, and we understand that. There are other ways you could help the Reds Community Fund. But if you're able, these are, some of the gifts that are coming your way. Good stuff.
Those are cool. And we always have a great time during that Community Fund game. I'm especially intrigued by the box with your dad's picture on it. Is that the bobblehead that is a talking bobblehead?
Fly ball in the right field. I don't know. I mean, they've had a couple of different.
I think it's the alarm clock that his voice will wake you up in the morning or at night, whatever.
Well, that's one of those you better be careful what you wish for, because I know all about it. There might be a lot of people that walk around here that think they know my dad. All right? When it comes to that example that you just gave, you better be careful what you wish for.
All right, well, give me a couple examples.
What do they say? The Constitution, I take the fifth, right? So as not to self-incriminate, right?
Well, I know he's an early morning guy.
And I am too. I'm an early morning guy, right? But
all right. So let me just ask this without getting into detail. Do you, in turn, have you passed it down a generation, and do you wake up Luke the same way that your father woke you up?
No. But Luke probably doesn't like the way I wake him up. So,
well, Luke's a well-adjusted guy.
That all depends on the day of the week. It all depends on the day of the week. And his sister Ella, that's an hour-by-hour discussion. But it's okay. mean, you know all about raising teenage girls, and a lot of you out there, you hear me say those words, raising a teenage daughter. Oh. That's why I always say to those dads out there who have the little girls that are like 4 and 5 and 7 and 9, 11, whatever it is, and they're walking around and they're holding your hand all the time, and they just want to hug daddy and be with daddy all the time. I tell them, you better enjoy these days, son. You better enjoy. Jesse Winker trying to keep this hit streak alive. He's 0 for 2 today. Boy, Nova's really making good pitches in this game. Now, granted, you're spotted to a huge lead, and, you know, you can go out there and be very aggressive attacking hitters. But this guy's making good pitches. He has really dominated Winker in 2 at-bats today, and Winker has been red hot.
Interesting that the Pirates have completely forgot about the shift they put on Winker. Remember, he had 2 hits last night against their shift. The first one, they moved all their infielders way over towards the right side. He hit one down the left field line where the third baseman would be. Next time, they brought in Moran, the third baseman, in his normal third base spot, and he hit it where the shortstop was. So, but today they show up, no shift at all on Winker.
You know, that reminds me of a line that Chris, I know that you have quoted frequently, going back to, you know, when we were in Atlanta earlier this year. There's a sinking liner run down by Marte.
Boy, he gets a good jump on the ball.
Sure does. Where, you know, that line that you thought so highly of in a day and age where we're looking at graphs and computers and, you know, screens of any kind and all kinds. And the famous line that was uttered, "I use my eyes."
That's what the old-time scouts, the old-time statisticians will tell you.
I mean, the Pirates use their eyes from what they've seen the first 2 games from Winker.
I don't know. Maybe the spreadsheet came out this morning, though, because the Pirates are as deep into analytics as any team out
I know.
there. And said, guys, the new printout says we no longer shift on Winker.
I think it goes back to the eyes. You were moved by that line earlier this year.
I was. More dumbfounded than moved. You know, I'm sure the people at home saying, all right, what's going on? Well, here's what happened, okay? We have a stats person in our booth and everywhere we go, and that person provides us with background material, statistics, trends, number of pitches, and things like this. Well, we're on the road in one city. I won't tell you where it is. We have a stats guy, and he does not have a computer or a phone or an iPad, nothing. And I said, hey, did you look up such and such a game where this guy did these things? And he said, no. I said, why not? I said, well, are you going to get us any stats? Why don't you have a computer? He looked at me, straight face, and said, I use my eyes. And I didn't know what to say. I don't think I didn't speak for 2 innings.
I'm not sure you've really said a heck of a lot in 2 months since that happened. There's a base hit into left field off the bat of Adam Duvall. They're going to hold the runner at third base. So the first extra base hit of the game for the Reds. Their 4th hit total.
One of the few, very few mistake pitches that Ivan Nova has made here this afternoon. Getting the head out is Duvall.
Phillip Ervin will bat. Brandon Dixon just brought back up from the minor leagues after the move to the disabled list for Alex Blandino. We've not seen him make an appearance since being brought back up. Into center field, and this will drive in a couple of runs. Urban with a 2-out, 2-run single, and the Reds are on the board.
He went right down there to put contact on that ball. I mean, barely got it on the end of the bat. Flips it into center field with 2 outs. The runners go on contact, and an easy couple of runs come across.
That's going to be it for Nova. He pitches into the 7th inning, gives up his first 2 runs of the game. And the Pirates are going to go to their bullpen, and we're going to get a look at Michael Feliz. Good game today by Nova. Afterwards for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We'll have it coming up right after the ball game today. Reds have scored twice here in the 7th inning. They still trail 9-2. Brandon Dixon will bat for the first time since being brought back from the minor leagues 2 days ago. And he'll be facing the right-hander Michael Feliz.
Big, hard-throwing right-hander, came over from the Houston Astros. 38th game here for Feliz.
That ball stung by Dixon, but Marte will flag it down.
like it when it's opposing hitter hitting a home run, but we're going to take a look at Corey Dickerson right here, coming off the bat on a low pitch down around the ankles. 110 miles an hour coming off the bat, almost 450 feet. And that's what we mentioned. We were sitting up here with Adam Dunn when he hit that ball, and it's about back in the days where we used to like to call him Dunner, hit the ball up there in that halfway up the moon deck or sun deck. He'll be one of 3 highlighting the stage tonight at the big Hall of Fame gala.
Absolutely. I think it might have been my dad who referred to him pretty regularly as Dunner.
I think so. I could, you know what? You might be right.
I might be wrong too. I'm not sure for sure. Reds have brought on their 3rd pitcher of the game, one of numerous changes the Reds have made in this game today. In fact, it's an entirely new infield than the one that started the game, with the exception of the shortstop. And a new catcher for that matter. Bryce just brought back from AAA Louisville. We are in the 8th inning. And barring a miracle, and the Reds have had a couple of those this year, very late in games, the Pirates are trying to get out of here and make their way to the northern end of the Buckeye State, riding the tide of a 9-game winning streak. Dickerson's trying to get 5 hits in a game for the first time in his career. Not going to happen. So they retire him for the first time after a double, a homer, a couple of singles, 2 knocked in, and 3 runs scored. Well done, Austin Bryce. You know, with all the talk about Dickerson in this series and Bell, how hot he's been, Marte is a guy that you can overlook. He did hit a grand slam here on Friday night. But the last 15 games he's played going back to Independence Day, today is his 8th multi-hit game, and those numbers are starting to come together, Chris, for Starling Marte that they were thinking about seeing when the season began.
Yeah. Well, they've actually expected this kind of production out of him for a couple of years now. I mean, the cornerstones of their future were supposed to be Starling Marte and Gregory Polanco. They've been both right in the middle of things here today, but you add Corey Dickerson to that little group and make it that's a pretty formidable outfield.
Down at third, Brandon Dixon stays in the game, and he'll throw on to Tucker Barnhart. Saturday, July the 28th, the first 20,000 fans through the gates get a Joey Votto Funko Pop, thanks to Ram Trucks. After the game, it'll be Walk the Moon, Cincinnati's very own, performing a concert, so that'll be a big night. Saturday, July 28th, and remember, that's a 6:40 start that night. Rice a couple of quick outs, And now trying to make it a 1-2-3/8 inning. Falls behind 2 balls, no strikes to Polanco, who's knocked in 3 of the Pirates' 9 today, including their first 2. A home run in the opening inning. It's a good 2-0 pitch right there by Bryce. Polanco looking fastball, didn't get it.
Now Polanco's looking for something to hit into the seats.
Probably like to see that pitch again. Fastball right down the can and fouls it straight back.
Yeah, one of those, though, you know, that kind of was rising a little bit. Sometimes Bryce will work under that four-seamer and kind of cut that ball. Almost has a look that it moves up.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Well, that's a nice inning by Austin Bryce. Young man still trying to establish himself as a big league pitcher. Well done. Well done. Fox Sports Ohio, we call it Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Guys will get it rolling tomorrow with the Cardinals coming to town. And again, a start time on Reds Live tomorrow at 6 because we have our big Reds Community Fund game tomorrow night. We invite you to be a part of that if you're able.
I want to correct myself what I said about Austin Gomber. I got a little bad information. Did not check it out. I got it from the Reds PR department. Unfortunately, it was incorrect. Not making his major league debut. First ever start, though.
That is a double by Peraza. Golly Deus, he hit. That's his second hit. 4 rockets off his back.
I mean, he does not seem to care at all what the score is. I mean, he goes up there and he is giving you some really good at bats. Head right on the ball. Boy, that is as good a swing as you're going to see.
Here's Dielson Herrera. This guy, for the first time in really 3 years, is healthy. Was having a really good year at AAA. Mets brought him to the major leagues when he was only 20 years old. There's a bouncer to the shortstop, and Herrera thrown out for the first out. Staying there at second base is Peraza. Pulled foul by Kurt Casale. Casale bats for the first time. He clubbed a 2-run home run in a game last night. In fact, in a game where the Reds were handled pretty well, much like they are today, he had 4 excellent plate appearances in the game here last night. He hit a rocket liner right at Polanco his first time up, hit a line drive that sent Marte to the warning track, then hit the 2-run home run to left field, was hit by a pitch you may remember late in the game, and we were wondering, was that going to cause a problem moving into today? And apparently the answer to that is no, it's not. So that's good to see. Straight up in the air. Two down. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
Michael Lorenzen will come up to bat. Always love seeing Lorenzen get a chance to hit. Three home runs for Lorenzen. One of them, of course, a grand slam as a pinch hitter. Austin Bryce goes one perfect inning with a strikeout. He's the 11th pitcher in Reds history with 3 home runs in a year. Of course, all the rest of those guys were in the starting rotation. Lorenzen has not started a single game. In fact, he didn't start a single game all of last year, as you know. Gone swinging Lorenzen, and that will retire the side. We're off mercifully. To the ninth. Pirates leading 9-2.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Well, the sun's shining here a little later in the afternoon on this Sunday after all the rain we've had all weekend long, so that's nice to see. We've arrived in the 9th inning. A lot of the fans have stuck around the entire day, despite the fact that at the end of 2 innings, the Pirates had a 6-0 lead. Hit 3 home runs in the first 2 innings. 2-run homer by Polanco. Back-to-back home runs by Dickerson and Marte. And it has been cruise control ever since, getting an excellent start out of Ivan Nova. Kyle Crockett now on to pitch. Came on last night. Got a couple of outs, allowed a hit, picked up a strikeout and no runs. Diaz 1 of 4 at an RBI single, driving in the most recent Pirate run in the 6th inning. Padres and Phillies having to play a doubleheader today in Philadelphia because it's a Padres only trip in. They were rained out last night. Padres jumped all over the Phils 10-2 a final. Dodgers are beating up on the Brewers 7-2 in the 5th. Cubbies and Cardinals tied at 2 in the 4th, and that's strike 3 swinging to Diaz. Colorado, the second hottest team in the National League behind these Pirates. Pirates are trying to make it 9 straight wins. The Rockies are going for 8 in a row. They beat Arizona the first 2 games of that series, with the finale coming later today, and the Rockies are now just 1 game behind the Dodgers for the top spot in the National League's Western Division. Think they can hang in there?
You know, the interesting thing about the Rockies this year is that normally they're a team that dominate at home and then struggle on the road. They are much better on the road this year. They're 8 games over 500 on the road. They're playing even 500 at home. So for that reason alone, you may think, yeah. Of course, it may be a different story now that the Dodgers have added Machado to their roster.
It's a nice play right there by Dilson Herrera. Dilson diving to his right to take away a hit.
You know, I'm not so sure he's going to get enough playing time for us to really figure out whether he can be an everyday player or not. But every scout that I've talked to said that this guy can really hit. Now, I've not seen him play defense enough to determine, because every time we've seen him in spring training, he seems to be injured. Got to take advantage when you get it.
Two balls and no strikes, a count on Josh Bell. Bell turns around about right-handed for the first time today. In fact, I think it's the first time in this series. Yeah, he has had all of his plate appearances from the left side until this one. Left center field, Irvin will have a play on it, and a nice job by Crockett for the second straight day. Crockett and Bryce with perfect innings out of the Reds bullpen. Last of the ninth coming up. Sunday, and thanks to Mike's Car Wash, you can buy 4 view level tickets. You get 4 Reds hats for a total of $48. That's right, the 4 for $48 is back. Log on to Reds.com/4 It's a good deal. 4 great seats, and you get 4 Reds caps to boot. Tyler Glasnow, one-time highly thought of prospect with the Pirates as a starter, and now exclusively working, at least this year, out of the bullpen.
Yeah, his first 17 appearances as a Pittsburgh Pirate going back to 2016 when he made his debut were all his starts. Most of them anyway. Had 17 starts out of his first 20 or so ball games, but now 32nd time out of the bullpen. Working a lot better for him. Earned run average around 3.5. 70 strikeouts in 52 innings. So he's one of these guys, and maybe you want to compare him to, say, a Michael Lorenzen, where his stuff plays up a little bit in just short little stints.
All right, one final shot to keep that hitting streak alive for Jesse Winker as he leads things off here in the Reds' 9th inning. In the air to left, and it will come to an end at 12 straight games. That's the longest by a rookie in the National League this year. Been on a good run.
Mentioned Glasnow in those 70 strikeouts in 52 innings. That number of strikeouts, 70, ties him for the second most strikeouts for a reliever this year in the National League, behind Josh Hader.
Speaking of the Brewers, the Dodgers are really laying it on Milwaukee now. It is a 10-2 game in the 5th inning. Dodgers in front. Well, you wonder what the mood is like right now in Milwaukee. It was about a week and a half ago that they were flying high, and then all of a sudden they have the weekend in Pittsburgh where they get swept. 5 games over 4 days. They come back. They lose the first game after the break. They did get a win yesterday, but more than likely going to take another loss today.
This is really, though, where, Tom, I think the front office looks to the field manager, and in that case, Craig Counsell, to kind of keep his troops together, keep their spirit up, keep the enthusiasm for the game there. You know, when you go as well as they did and then all of a sudden turn around, you know, it's very common to have infighting in the clubhouse, have finger pointing, having, you know, things beginning to fall apart. That's where the manager's got to really come in and do something.
Well, you add into as well, Chris, the whole Hader situation from what transpired in the All-Star game, and, you know, going way back to when he was in, what, high school, I think it was, and, you know, social media, and, you know, you wonder what kind of a ripple effect that's causing inside the Brewers clubhouse. Although, in fairness, Lorenzo Cain came out publicly in Hader's defense and said that Hader actually approached him about it before it was something that made a big news. And so we won't see the Brewers for a while. I don't believe we see them again until the last week of August.
I think that is when the Reds travel to Milwaukee.
That's right. Reds down to their final out of the afternoon. Luis Castillo to the mound tomorrow against the Cardinals. We invite you to join us for Reds Live at 6. Trying to raise some money for the Reds Community Fund tomorrow night. Oh, 0-2 on Duvall. Glass now was walking off the mound. He thought that was strike 3. Foul tipped into the mid of the catcher, and that's the old ball game. Reds are swept in a 3-game series over Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A lot of rain and raining a lot of base hits for this Pirate team, which wins its 9th consecutive game. 9-2 the final. Reds Live, the post-game version, coming up next. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.